Baltimore Ravens inside linebacker Patrick Queen calls out head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers Mike Tomlin for attacking him personally on the sidelines last season and disrespecting him. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens both have a huge matchup in Week 5, and it looks like Baltimore Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen is going to have some extra motivation going into the game, and it's been a rivalry that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens have had for a while. It's always a tough battle between these two teams. It's never anything dirty, but it's always hard-nosed football. And once again, hopefully, it's something like that this weekend. So, Patrick Queen, in an interview done heading up to the matchup, he talked about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers and the rivalry, and he spoke to the media about the big game on Sunday, and he told a story about Tomlin aggressively trash-talking him on the Steelers sideline after a play that he made. This is the quote that he said about Mike Tomlin disrespecting him and attacking him personally. Anytime you join this organization and they talk about this Steelers game, it's a game that defines you. It makes you a Raven. When I was on their sideline my rookie year, Mike Tomlin was looking at me, yelling at me, "You're not a Raven. You're not a Raven. You're not supposed to be there. You're not one of them." So every time I play them, it's something personal. And then he continued later on by saying this: "I don't care if he was joking. I don't care if he was serious. At the end of the day, I'm on your sideline and you're telling me I'm not a Raven. It's kind of disrespectful." At that point, it's like I never even told you anything. Like you just coming at me. So I mean, from that point on, it was just it. It is what it is. End quote. So that's how he feels Mike Tomlin attacked him personally and disrespected him for being a Baltimore Raven. So, looking and hearing at Mike Tomlin's comments towards Patrick Queen from Patrick Queen's perspective, you could kind of interpret it in multiple ways. You could interpret it as him saying he doesn't deserve to be on the Ravens and he's not a hard-nosed football player, not a physical player like the rivalry has been between the Steelers and the Ravens, so he doesn't deserve to be in this rivalry on the Baltimore Ravens side of the football. You can interpret it like that. But then also, you can interpret it in another way. We all know Mike Tomlin loves talking to players, loves meeting with players, and if you remember back in the day, Chase Young of the Washington Commanders, when he was on the sidelines of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin talking to him, basically saying, if we had a chance, we would have drafted you. And maybe that's what he's kind of saying. You don't deserve to be with them. You should have been with us. Basically saying you should be on our side of the ball. You shouldn't be on their side of the ball. So you can interpret it like that and him kind of saying, if we had the opportunity, you would have been with us. But anyway, Patrick Queen interpreted it how he interpreted it, and he doesn't care if Mike Tomlin meant it in a vicious way or not. He's going to take that with motivation because he felt like he was attacked personally and disrespected by Mike Tomlin. Anyway, Queen, he joined the Baltimore Ravens in 2020, and since then, he's only been a part of one win against the Steelers in his professional career. So, do what you will with that information. The Ravens have struggled against the Steelers in the past years. This is a different year, obviously, different season. Different things happen throughout a season. Lamar Jackson is back, so who knows what this matchup holds. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, has always struggled against the Steelers as well. The only thing he's really been able to do well is run the ball, but he always turns over the ball against the Steelers for some reason because of the Steelers' defense. So, the Steelers versus the Ravens is going to be a hard-nosed football game. Patrick Queen, last season, he did have an interception against the Steelers alongside Roquan Smith. If you remember, both of them had interceptions. Both are inside linebackers. So, yes, he's got stats against the Steelers, but he has not gotten more than one win against the Steelers and been a part of 2 wins. And that's between 6 games total. So 1 win in 6 games, that's not too good. But Patrick Queen, he's obviously taking it personally, and he's having extra motivation coming into this game, trying to prove a point to Mike Tomlin and having a chip on his shoulder. But this all happened in his rookie season. So it happened in 2020. That means that Mike Tomlin is living rent-free in his head. Because now, Patrick Queen, this is the first time of me hearing the story, or of probably him telling it. And it's 2023 now, almost heading into 2024. So it's been 3 to 4 years since he kind of revealed the story. So that means it's been eating at him in his head, and he had to get it out of his chest and kind of relieve it to the media. But that's the first time I'm hearing it, first time we're all hearing it. But obviously it was eating at him inside, and he needed to let it out. But either way you interpret it, that was definitely Mike Tomlin welcoming Patrick Queen to this division and this matchup of the AFC North, the two best teams in this division for a very long time, the Ravens and the Steelers. So, that's it for that story. But there's one more story I want to talk about before I wrap this video up. Because Patrick Peterson of the Pittsburgh Steelers, cornerback in this league for a very long time, veteran guy, a really good solid cornerback throughout his career, he had a comment towards wide receiver Zay Flowers of the Baltimore Ravens, talking about him and what he's going to see from him on Sunday and what he can do for the Ravens offense. And he had a quote that really got taken out of hand and kind of misinterpreted. So let me just tell you the quote, and I'll tell you what people were saying. Here it is. He's very shifty, very, very fast. He can get behind the defense. He's kind of like the guy that can do it all for them. Run the screens, run the reverses, and still can run the big post as well. It's going to be fun trying to keep our eye on that fast little munchkin there. So, obviously, everyone ignored the first kind of 3/4 of that quote, where he was giving him so much praise, saying he could basically do everything on the football field, and just basically looked at him calling him a munchkin. And if you want to know why he was calling him a munchkin, it's because he was a shorter wide receiver. That's all it is. He wasn't saying it to disrespect him. He was just saying it because he's a shorter wide receiver. It's just like if they were calling Calvin Austin that, because Calvin Austin is 5'8" and he's a shorter wide receiver. You wouldn't take it as them disrespecting him. Maybe, obviously, as a player, you don't want to be called a munchkin. As a person, you don't want to be called that. But he wasn't saying that to disrespect him. That's what I'd believe. I don't believe he was disrespecting him, even though it could be taken as a disrespectful way because you don't want to be called a munchkin. But he was just giving him compliments and saying how fast he is, how decisive he is on his routes. Basically, he could do everything on the football field, but then just add that little part in there because he's a shorter wide receiver that we see in the NFL. Usually in the NFL, we don't see so small wide receivers being able to be successful other than if they're just fast. Well, Zay Flowers, even though he hasn't proven much in this league, he does look like he has a capability of being a really good wide receiver in this league. Who knows if his full potential will come out with the Ravens because Lamar Jackson is quarterback and they don't really throw the ball too much and it's not too accurate. But Zay Flowers, he has a chance to be really good. And Patrick Peterson's quote, I believe, was taken out of context and just looked at the very, very end of the quote and never looked at the first 3/4 of the quote. So this was a big story yesterday. Basically, every Steelers fan getting on Patrick Peters saying, keep your mouth shut, because of his comments that he had earlier about Brock Purdy as well, saying that he's tipping their plays earlier in the first week of the season. So many of the Steelers fans were getting on Patrick Peterson for this comment, and Ravens fans were also getting on him. But it seems like Ravens fans were more reasonable than Steelers fans on this certain topic and knew that it wasn't anything kind of malicious, anything disrespectful. But that's the story yesterday, and I just want to cover it and give my thoughts. Now, this is the end of the video. Let me know down in the comments below how you think this is going to go between the Steelers and the Ravens, who you think is going to win, and your thoughts on Patrick Queen calling out Mike Tomlin for disrespecting him, and how do you feel about Patrick Peterson calling Zay Flowers a munchkin? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis, reports, news, rumors, highlights, everything like that. Turn on notifications for this channel so you never miss out and able to stay up to date whenever something new happens. I make new videos every single day covering the Pittsburgh Steelers, so stay tuned. I cover it all, so like, comment, subscribe with notifications on. I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.